Mike, some startling whistleblower testimony expected today from Tara-Leigh Rodas, a health and human services staffer who will testify to the government's alleged role as a migrant trafficking middleman. Rodas, who will describe or was set to describe working at a California emergency intake site for illegal minors, wrote, quote, "I thought I was going to help place children in loving homes. Instead, I discovered that children are being trafficked through a sophisticated network that begins with being recruited in their home country, smuggled to the U.S. border, and ends when ORR delivers a child to a sponsor. Some sponsors are criminals and traffickers and members of transnational criminal organizations," end quote. Rodas told the Daily Caller, quote, "I've heard young girls screaming for their mom in their home country. I watched children have panic attacks. The children had to be put on suicide watch. They don't know where they're going. This is just unacceptable." Much continues to be exposed about the illegal immigration crisis and the network operating behind it. As the possible end to Title 42 approaches, some researchers say President Joe Biden has unleashed the greatest border crisis in U.S. history.
It's going to transform our country.
He's right on the wall. See him there?
Yeah, I see him.
One by one.
He's running. See him running?
Hundreds or thousands at a time. Illegal immigrants are entering the United States at alarming rates through the Texas-Mexico border daily.
We've probably had somewhere on the order of 5.5 million people enter in 24 months. This is far outside anything in the American experience as far as the border and immigration goes.
Todd Bensman, National Security Fellow for the Center for Immigration Studies, says the country will be unrecognizable if the Biden administration stays at the helm.
This particular White House has already signaled since the midterm elections that it plans to stay the course.
In early April, this alley next to Sacred Heart Church in downtown El Paso showed clear signs of what's ahead if Title 42 is lifted on May 11th.
¿Estás durmiendo en la calle?
Sí, dormimos aquí por si ve los cartones, sábanas, dormimos aquí.
23-year-old Jacqueline says her 8-month journey from Venezuela through the jungle and across 8 countries before reaching Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, to surrender to Border Patrol in El Paso was terrifying.
Sí da miedo, pero como uno es muy fuerte, uno se aferra a Dios, uno tiene la fuerza de Dios.
Less than 24 hours from Victory News speaking with Jacqueline, police and city workers were trashing items, attempting to disperse the growing crowd of about 20, most of them with asylum processing documents in hand.
So they changed it to give the humanitarian parole inside Mexico. And then they bring them quietly and secretively through the ports of entry so that nobody can see it. And it doesn't get counted as an illegal crossing. So it looks like the numbers are going down, but the same number of people are coming in.
Is it a crisis?
It's definitely a crisis.
And if Title 42 is lifted, migrants will not be denied entry in order to prevent communicable diseases, a concern for Dr. Alejandro Diaz, Mexican immigration doctor and global health specialist.
Guess what's going to happen?
Well, what do you foresee, doctor? Yeah, I'd want to know.
Well, I think it will eventually bring more immigration. Now it's going to be easier for them. I'm not blaming on anybody, of course, but that is the truth. Because let me tell you something, there will be another pandemic, unfortunately. But you know what is the most and the heaviest and the most difficult pandemic we're facing? The lack of faith. That's exactly what we're living right now. We're living in a lack of faith state worldwide. And when you don't have faith, you don't have guidance, you don't have a path, you don't know where you're going.
And Victory News will continue to bring you focused updates on the crisis at America's southern border.